People in the city whispered her name with both admiration and fear. Minaj. She was beautiful. Not the kind of beauty you could walk past and forget, but the type that stayed burning in your mind long after she left the room. Thick, radiant, with smooth brown skin that glowed under the sunlight, curves wrapped in luxurious dresses that hugged her body like they were crafted by the gods themselves. Her braided hair always looked fresh, her nails sparkled with diamonds, and her perfume trailed behind her like a warning and a blessing. But beauty was only half of her power. Her mouth. Her mouth was sharper than any blade in the hands of a gangster. Minaj had a way of turning compliments into mockery, insults into poetry, and banter into a weapon that left even rich men humiliated. That morning, in her boutique, the place smelled of roses and expensive fabrics. The floor was polished marble, mirrors lined the walls, and gold-plated hangers held gowns worth more than some people's yearly salaries. Customers flocked in, not only for the clothes but for the woman who owned it. And then it happened. A man in a shiny gray suit, heavy gold chain dangling around his neck, strutted in like a peacock. He was a well-known businessman, one of those who thought money could buy respect. He picked up a red gown and waved it in Minaj's face. "This dress is too expensive," he sneered. "I could get 3 of these in Seoul for the same price." Minaj turned slowly, her heels clicking on the marble floor. Her eyes scanned him from head to toe. His oversized belt, his fake designer watch, the way his belly strained against the buttons of his shirt. She smirked, tilting her head. "Then fly to Seoul, sweetheart," she said, voice smooth but cutting. "But make sure the plane can carry both you and that stomach." The boutique froze. The man's face flushed red, his lips trembling, but Minaj didn't stop. "You came here dripping in fake gold, trying to impress me," she continued. "But your money is small and your mouth is too big. Buy or get out. My time is too expensive for cheap men with loud voices." Laughter erupted from the other customers. The man stormed out, cursing under his breath. Minaj just smiled, adjusted her diamond bracelet, and went back to arranging her display. To her, it was nothing. To everyone else, it was proof Minaj was untouchable. But in a corner of the boutique, leaning against the glass, a man had been watching. He was tall, broad-shouldered, his black suit crisp and perfect. His hair was slicked back, his jaw sharp as stone, his eyes dark and unreadable. He didn't laugh, he didn't clap. He just watched. Han Jun, the Korean Mafia boss, billionaire, the man whose name alone made rivals shiver. He had seen many things in his life. Men begging for mercy, women chasing his money, enemies falling to their knees. But he had never seen a woman like Minaj, a woman who feared no one, not even a man dripping with power. And something inside him stirred. It wasn't love, not yet. It was curiosity, dangerous curiosity. When Minaj finally noticed him, she didn't recognize his face immediately, but the way the room seemed to bow around him gave him away. She raised an eyebrow and walked over, her hips swaying with deliberate confidence. "You've been staring too long," she said, her lips curling into a sly smile. "Do you want to buy a dress? Or do you want me to charge you for wasting my air?" For the first time in years, Han Jun almost smiled. "Almost. I don't buy dresses," he said, his voice deep, calm, carrying the weight of someone used to giving orders. "I buy people's loyalty." Minaj chuckled, shaking her head. "Then you came to the wrong shop. Loyalty isn't on display here. Only luxury." Their eyes locked. Her gaze was sharp, unafraid. His was cold, calculating. Around them, the boutique's noise seemed to fade, leaving the tension between them. For Han Jun, this was no ordinary encounter. At that very moment, his empire was under pressure. His father, the ruthless old mafia boss, had given him an ultimatum. Marry Sujin, the daughter of a powerful Korean tycoon, or risk losing everything. Han Jun despised forced deals. He had killed to build his empire, fought wars in the shadows of Seoul, and expanded into every corner of the city. But his father didn't care. The wedding was set. 3 months. No excuses. But as he stood before Minaj, with her beauty and her brutal tongue, an idea sparked in his mind. A reckless, dangerous idea. "Minaj," he said slowly, tasting her name like fine wine. What if I told you I don't need a wife? I need a queen bold enough to help me destroy a wedding. Minaj raised an eyebrow, laughing out loud. Destroy a wedding? What are you, some runaway groom? No, Han Jun replied, his voice dropping lower. I am the groom, but I don't intend to marry. The words unsettled her for a moment. This man was dangerous, too calm, too powerful. But Minaj was not a woman to be intimidated. She leaned closer, her perfume filling the space between them, and whispered, So what's the plan, pretty boy gangster? You want me to dance at your fake wedding? Han Jun's lips curved, finally forming that rare, dangerous smile. No, Minaj, he said. I want you to carry my fake pregnancy. The boutique went silent again, as if the walls themselves were holding their breath. And just like that, the most scandalous deal of their lives was about to begin. The night in Seoul glittered like diamonds spilled across black velvet. Neon lights burned bright in Gangnam, where expensive cars lined the streets and skyscrapers rose like glass giants. The city never slept, but beneath its glamorous surface, shadows moved, the Mafia's world, where power was traded in whispers and blood. Inside a private lounge at the top of Han Jun's hotel, the air was thick with silence. The room was wide and elegant, with glass walls overlooking the city. A grand piano stood in the corner, untouched, and expensive cigars rested in a crystal tray. Only two people were seated across from each other. Han Jun, calm and collected, and Minaj, legs crossed, her diamond heels tapping against the marble floor like a warning. She wore a silk emerald dress that clung to her curves, a queen in her own right. She didn't bother to hide her irritation. Let me get this straight, she began, her voice laced with sarcasm. You dragged me from my boutique at midnight, sat me in this palace you call a lounge, just to tell me you want me to fake carrying your baby? Han Jun didn't flinch. His dark eyes studied her like she was both a puzzle and a weapon. Yes. Minaj let out a sharp laugh that echoed through the room. You're insane. Utterly insane. You think I joke? He asked, voice cold. She leaned closer, her glossy lips curving into a mocking smile. You want the world to believe that the untouchable Han Jun, the great mafia boss of Seoul, knocked up a thick black woman he barely knows? Honey, your enemies will laugh you into the grave. They already fear me, Han Jun said calmly. But they fear scandal more. My father is forcing me into a wedding with Sujin. Political deal. If the world believes I already have a woman carrying my child, it breaks the marriage arrangement. Minaj tilted her head, pretending to think. So basically, I would be your scandal. Your pregnancy shield. Han Jun's jaw tightened. You would be my queen. Minaj scoffed so loudly she almost choked. Queen? Don't flatter me. This is not royalty, it's fraud. And why me, Han Jun? Out of all the Korean women in this city, why pick me? Because I have a big mouth and fat hips? Han Jun leaned forward now, his gaze sharp. Because you are the only one who wouldn't bow to me. Everyone else bends. You will bite. The words unsettled her for a second, but Minaj recovered quickly. She smirked, brushing invisible dust from her diamond bracelet. So you like pain? Is that it? You want a woman who insults you daily while pretending to grow your mafia baby. He didn't answer. Instead, he pushed a sleek black folder across the table. Inside was a contract. Thick, official, stamped. Read, Han Jun said. Agree and you'll have more than luxury. I'll buy you a building in Gangnam. A second boutique. No debts. No rivals. Minaj flipped through the pages lazily, her long nails tapping on the paper. She saw numbers that made her heart race. Zeros stacked like skyscrapers. With this, she could not only expand her boutique, she could own half of Seoul's fashion scene. But still, she lifted her eyes and smirked. So basically, you want me to rent my womb for free and get paid in real estate. Cute deal, gangster. But what happens if your little heiress finds out I'm fake pregnant? She'll scratch my face off with her diamond nails. Han Jun's lips curved into the faintest smile. Then she dies. The silence that followed was heavy. Minaj searched his eyes. He wasn't joking. He had the calm cruelty of a man who killed without flinching. She leaned back, suddenly serious. And if your father finds out? The great Mafia boss elder. Han Jun's eyes darkened. Then I die. But not before he does. Minaj exhaled slowly. The air between them was thick with danger, yet strangely intoxicating. She knew she should walk away. This was madness. Pretending to be pregnant for a Mafia billionaire? If she got caught, she would be destroyed. But Minaj had always lived dangerously. And the thought of walking into Seoul's high society, draped in luxury, protected by the Mafia boss himself, it tasted sweeter than honey. She snapped the folder shut and looked him dead in the eye. Fine, I'll play your little baby mama game. But remember this, Han Jun. I don't fake with my mouth, only my stomach. For the first time in years, Han Jun laughed. It was low, dangerous, but real. Then we understand each other, he said. He reached out his hand. Minaj hesitated, then placed her palm against his. Her nails pressed into his skin, not gently. He didn't pull away, and just like that, the deal was sealed. Outside, the neon lights of Seoul continued to burn. Inside, a fake pregnancy had just been born. One that would shake the city's underworld to its core. The next morning, Seoul awoke to scandal. Headlines flashed across the biggest media houses. Korean Mafia billionaire Han Jun seen with Black Beauty in Gangnam. Rumors swirl. Who is the woman beside the Mafia prince? Photos splashed everywhere. Han Jun stepping out of his black Lamborghini. Minaj by his side in a golden gown that shimmered like fire under the cameras. Her hand rested casually on his arm, and though she was smiling, her eyes carried that mischievous spark, as if she owned the world. But what the world didn't know was that everything was staged. Han Jun had sent his men to pick her up early that morning. When they arrived at her boutique, Minaj rolled her eyes but played along. She wore her most dazzling outfit. Not because she wanted to impress him, but because if she was going to be fake pregnant for Korea's most feared man, she was going to look like a queen while doing it. When the car door opened and Han Jun stepped out, cameras exploded. The Mafia boss rarely allowed himself to be photographed. Yet here he was, standing tall in his black suit, placing a protective hand on Minaj's waist. The whole country gasped. Inside the car, away from flashing lights, Minaj chuckled, her diamond earrings swaying. Look at them, she said, peeking at the paparazzi through tinted glass. They're swallowing this like hot soup. If I burp right now, they'll say I'm morning sick. Han Jun didn't smile. His jaw was tight, his eyes fixed on the city ahead. Remember, every move you make, every word you say matters. If they sense this is fake, we're finished. Minaj tilted her head, amused. Relax, gangster. I know how to play a role. But don't expect me to call you Appa or blush like a Korean drama girl. I'm not soft. I'll bite. Finally, a flicker of something passed over Han Jun's face. Not fear, not irritation, but something dangerously close to amusement. Their destination that morning was a high-profile charity gala in Gangnam. The room glittered with chandeliers, perfume, and the quiet arrogance of Seoul's richest families. Men in tuxedos, women in silk gowns, whispers floating through the air like smoke. And then they walked in, Han Jun and Minaj. The room fell silent. Minaj's emerald dress hugged her curves. Her heels clicked like a queen announcing her presence. Han Jun's hand never left her back, his cold expression daring anyone to question him. But Minaj, she played the role too well. When a rich woman whispered too loudly, "Is that really his type?" Minaj turned her head with a bright smile and answered, "Yes, darling. Thick, expensive, and allergic to cheap gossip." The woman nearly choked on her champagne. Han Jun had to look away to hide his smirk. Later that evening, when they sat at their table, Sujin arrived. The heiress, dressed in white silk, her beauty perfect but cold. She walked straight to Han Jun, ignoring Minaj like she was furniture. "You're making a mistake," Sujin whispered, her tone like venom. "This foreign girl won't last. Everyone knows it." Minaj leaned back in her chair, sipping champagne lazily. "Funny," she said loudly, loud enough for nearby tables to hear. "I was just thinking the same thing about your makeup. Won't last more than an hour under these lights." Gasps erupted. Cameras clicked. Sujin's face stiffened. But Han Jun didn't say a word. His silence was louder than anything. He wasn't defending Sujin. He was letting Minaj speak for him. As the night went on, Minaj continued her performance. She laughed loudly, leaned on Han Jun's shoulder, touched her stomach as if protecting something precious. And the cameras caught everything. By the end of the evening, rumors had transformed into proof. Han Jun's mistress is pregnant. The Mafia boss is expecting an heir. Back in the car, Minaj kicked off her heels with a groan. My feet are screaming. Next time, I'm wearing sneakers to your Mafia circus. Han Jun sat beside her, his face unreadable. You humiliated Sujin. Minaj grinned. You're welcome. You enjoy this too much, he said. And you don't enjoy it enough, she shot back. Lighten up, gangster. We're supposed to look like a couple. Couples laugh, fight, kiss. She paused deliberately, watching his expression. His eyes didn't move, but his jaw tightened ever so slightly. Minaj smirked, leaning back. Don't worry, I won't kiss you. Your lips look too expensive for me. The car filled with silence, but it wasn't cold. It was heavy, charged, somewhere between annoyance and attraction. Han Jun turned his head slightly, just enough to meet her gaze. Careful, Minaj. You might start to believe your own lie. She laughed, tossing her braids over her shoulder. Or maybe gangster, you will. The city lights washed over them as the car sped through Seoul. Two people tied together by a fake pregnancy, yet tangled in a spark that neither of them could fully control. And somewhere in the shadows, Sujin was plotting her next move. Seoul buzzed like a restless hive. Every magazine cover screamed the same thing. Han Jun's Black Queen pregnant? Gangnam billionaire to become a father. Minaj's face was everywhere. The picture of her holding her stomach, smiling mischievously, had become the nation's favorite scandal. What was supposed to be a temporary deal was turning into a wildfire neither she nor Han Jun could control. At first, Minaj found it amusing. She would scroll through articles on her phone while lounging in her boutique, sipping iced lattes. Pregnant cravings? Please, she muttered, laughing to herself. If I eat more, it's just because Korean barbecue is too sweet. But Han Jun wasn't laughing. His underworld business was sensitive. Any weakness, any rumor, could make enemies strike. And now, his enemies believed he was distracted with a pregnant lover. One night, he stormed into Minaj's boutique after closing hours. The place smelled of perfume and leather, racks of luxury dresses gleaming under soft lights. Minaj was lounging on a velvet chair, scrolling through her phone in silk pajamas. You've gone too far, Han Jun said, his voice low and sharp. Minaj raised an eyebrow without looking up. You're welcome. I gave your boring life some spice. He stepped closer, his presence heavy, his black suit perfectly pressed as always. Do you realize what you've done? Now the Mafia families believe this lie. They think I'm weak, that I'll be distracted protecting you. Minaj finally looked up, her eyes meeting his. Then protect me, she said simply. Isn't that what fake baby daddies do? For a long moment, they just stared at each other. His cold, hers fiery, opposites clashing but also pulling. Before he could reply, Minaj suddenly pressed her hand to her head. The room spun. She swayed on her feet. Minaj! Han Jun caught her just before she hit the floor. Her body was light against his, but her faint breathing made his chest tighten in ways he didn't understand. Within minutes, his men rushed her to Seoul's most expensive private hospital. Nurses whispered. Cameras flashed outside. The media caught wind. And by the next morning, Korea's gossip had reached its climax. Han Jun rushes pregnant girlfriend to hospital at midnight. The hospital corridors glowed white. Doctors moved quickly, speaking in hushed tones. Minaj lay in a private VIP suite, her braids spread across the pillow, her lips pale. Han Jun sat beside her bed, his suit jacket discarded, his tie loosened. For the first time, he didn't look like the untouchable Mafia king. He looked human. When Minaj finally stirred, she found him watching her, his dark eyes softer than she had ever seen. You fainted, he said quietly. She groaned. Probably skipped dinner. Fake pregnancy doesn't come with fake food deliveries, you know? But his expression didn't change. He leaned closer, his voice barely above a whisper. They all think you're carrying my child now. The doctors, the press, even Sujin. This is dangerous. Minaj smirked weakly. Then let's give them a show. Buy me some maternity dresses. Gangster. His jaw tightened. You don't understand. If Sujin believes this, she'll come for you harder. She doesn't lose. And if the other families think you're my weakness. He trailed off, his hand clenching the armrest of her chair. Minaj reached out, lightly tapping his fist. Relax. I fought tougher women than Sujin back in Nairobi. You think I'm scared of some ice princess in silk? Despite himself, Han Jun almost smiled. Almost. But then the door burst open. It was Sujin. She walked in, her heels clicking sharply, her white dress flowing like she owned the hospital. Her eyes were blazing. So it's true, she hissed, staring at Minaj. You're really pregnant with his child. Minaj, still weak, leaned back with a grin. Yup, baby gangster says hi. She rubbed her stomach dramatically. Sujin's face flushed with fury. She turned to Han Jun. You're destroying everything. You're throwing away your future, your power. For her? A nobody? Han Jun rose slowly to his feet. His presence filled the room like a storm. Enough. His voice was cold. Final. Whether she's carrying my child or not, Minaj is under my protection. Touch her and you'll regret it. Sujin's eyes widened. She had never heard him speak with such certainty about anyone. For the first time, she realized Minaj wasn't just a temporary scandal. She was becoming something more. Shaking with rage, Sujin stormed out, slamming the door behind her. Silence hung heavy in the room. Minaj looked up at Han Jun, her eyes mischievous again. Careful, gangster. You almost sounded like a real boyfriend just now. He didn't reply. He just stared at her, as if trying to figure out why protecting her suddenly felt less like duty and more like desire. Outside, Seoul's nightlights glittered, but inside that hospital room, two people tied by a lie were walking dangerously close to the truth. The night in Seoul was restless. Storm clouds gathered above the glittering skyline, lightning flashing like a warning from the heavens. Down below, the city buzzed, unaware that a war was about to begin. In Han Jun's penthouse, silence reigned. The walls of glass showed the city's heart beating in neon, but inside the room, only two hearts mattered, his and Minaj's. She stood near the window, wearing a silk robe he had bought her after the hospital incident. The robe shimmered against her thick curves, her braids falling down her back like a waterfall of midnight. She sipped red wine, unbothered, while Han Jun paced the room like a caged lion. They won't stop, he muttered, his voice low. Sujin is desperate. She told the elders you're nothing but a gold digger. She's planting spies. Tonight, she might strike. Minaj took another sip and licked her lips dramatically. Let her strike. I'll strike back harder. Do you know how many women have tried me? Back home, we say don't step on a lioness unless you want to get mauled. Han Jun stopped pacing and stared at her. Something about her fire made his blood stir. She wasn't afraid of the Mafia, of Sujin, of him. She met every storm with laughter. And for the first time in his life, he, the feared Mafia boss, felt like he had finally met his equal. Before he could speak, the power cut. Darkness swallowed the penthouse. Han Jun, Minaj whispered, setting her wine glass down. Then came the sound, shattering glass. A gunshot. Another. His men shouted in the hallway. They're here? Han Jun growled, pulling a gun from under the couch. Stay behind me. But Minaj wasn't the type to stay behind anyone. She grabbed the heavy wine bottle and held it like a weapon, her eyes blazing. The doors burst open. Masked men in black stormed the penthouse, guns raised. Sujin's voice echoed from behind them, sharp and cruel. Kill her. Leave him alive. Minaj's heart raced, but she didn't back down. The first man lunged at her. She smashed the wine bottle across his head, shards flying everywhere. Blood sprayed and he fell to the ground. Han Jun's gun roared. Two men dropped. The room became chaos. Bullets, screams, the smell of smoke. One of the attackers grabbed Minaj from behind, pressing a blade to her neck. She hissed, thrashing, but the knife cut a line against her skin. Han Jun! Sujin's voice screamed from the doorway. Choose, the family deal or the woman. Drop your gun or she dies. For a second, everything froze. The Mafia boss stood still, his gun aimed, his face unreadable. But his eyes, they were burning. Slowly, he lowered his weapon. The man holding Minaj smirked. Sujin stepped closer, triumphant. But then, with a sudden roar, Han Jun lunged. Faster than anyone could blink. He spun, shot the man holding Minaj point blank, then turned his gun on Sujin. She froze, staring at him in disbelief. You'd kill me? For her? Han Jun's voice was ice. She may be a lie, but she's my lie, and I'd burn this city before I let you touch her. Bang! The shot rang, echoing through the penthouse. Sujin crumpled, her white dress staining crimson. Silence followed, heavy and final. Minaj collapsed into Han Jun's arms, trembling. His gun clattered to the floor as he held her close, his hand cupping the back of her head. You idiot! She whispered against his chest, her voice shaking. You almost got yourself killed. He pulled back just enough to look into her eyes. The storm outside flashed, lightning illuminating their faces. I would die for you, Minaj. Fake or not, deal or not. I can't lie anymore. Her lips parted, her breath caught. And then, before either of them could second-guess it, he kissed her. It wasn't gentle. It was fire and hunger, a clash of power and surrender. Her hands tangled in his hair. His grip tightened around her waist, pulling her closer. When they finally broke apart, both were breathless. So what now? Minaj asked softly, her eyes glistening. Han Jun smirked, brushing his thumb over her lips. Now we stop pretending. No more fake deals. No more fake baby. You're mine, Minaj, for real. For the first time, she didn't argue. She didn't mock. She just smiled. A smile that could start wars and heal wounds at the same time. Outside, the storm broke, rain washing over Seoul. Inside the penthouse, blood and roses lay scattered on the floor. A reminder of the night a Mafia lie became the truest love of all.
Hello besties, in this powerful story we learned that love can't be forced by power deals. And Jun's family tried to control him with their business wedding, but true love doesn't grow from contracts. It grows from connection, loyalty and sacrifice. What started as a fake pregnancy deal became real love. It shows that even when circumstances are messy, the heart recognizes what it truly wants. Bestie, Minaj wasn't afraid to stand up to the Mafia, to Sujin or to Han Jun himself. Her boldness and bad mouth became the very thing that won her respect and love. True power is protecting, not controlling. And Jun thought power was about fear and money, but in the end, his greatest power was risking everything to protect Minaj, and that made him truly powerful. Besties, even in the world of lies, crime and deals, real love and loyalty will always shine through. And true power is found in protecting the ones you love. Thank you so much for watching. Kindly like, subscribe and share.